Okay, I'll turn my thing off. All right, well, okay, no, it's like straight up recording now, I think.
Straight
Damn,
up.
so we're really gonna do that. We're really doing the thing.
We're really doing it.
So, I don't,
It's kind of
did
lit.
we? Yeah, I guess we don't have to. It's our first one. Who knows who's gonna listen? But
Facts.
yeah, I don't really know what we're supposed to do with this information. So, I guess what do we talk about? You know,
It's a, it's a great question. I
should we
mean,
should we like start it off like an intro and like introduce ourselves like to anybody who listens or
I mean, we can.
like
I'm
quick
down for
intros?
that. Yeah, yeah. But what's like, what is it even like called? That's the thing.
No, I don't know. We'll come up with a name at
All
some
right,
point.
bet. All right,
We'll come
bet.
up with a name at some point. So I guess I'm Tyler. We're trying out this podcast thing. I just recently graduated from Arizona State University during a pandemic, so that was cool. Now I currently live back at home with my mother in Peoria, Arizona, the most boring city on earth. Um, I do absolutely nothing. I just scored a new part-time job, which I guess I won't really say where it is in case some creep decides to listen and try to find me. But um, yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I've wanted to kind of do something since quarantine started, but this guy right here, as I think everybody will learn, decides to fall off the face of the earth every once in a while and just crawl into a cave and disappear. So you disappeared for a couple months, and yeah, but you give your introduction. That was mine. I gave like a minute.
All right, for sure. Well, my name is Anthony. I am still currently going through this Zoom University at Arizona State. I do live here in Tempe, Arizona. Luckily, not back at home, even though probably with time it'll be obvious that I was the one that was at home the longest.
Yeah, so
um,
literally, like, I again, whoever listens, so literally, I went to like I just graduated. I lived in Tempe for 3 years, my sophomore, junior, senior year, and he lived at home in Peoria. And now this year, he moved to Tempe and I moved to Peoria, so we flipped. So now, yeah, so now we're different. But yeah, go ahead.
um, yeah, so I currently work as a student athletic trainer for the football team that is a very strange experience in its whole self. Um, and I mean that's basically everything with me. I mean nothing too surprising. Either you'll come to enjoy my personality on this, or you'll just come to laugh at half of the things I come up with. You know, so
Yeah, we usually do. We laugh with each other and at each other. You
that's
never
facts.
know.
That's facts.
So definitely starting like it definitely sounds like it would be much better if we ended up doing it like in the same room,
Right.
because like it's basically using you as like a Skype call, I think. So like your quality might drop off the face of the earth at any point.
That
But
is very true.
yeah, but this is the first one. I don't know if it's gonna be 5 minutes long or 20 or 30. I don't know. We'll just
Right.
keep it on as long as we talk. But yeah, I mean, for the listeners, whoever that might be, uh, I worked as an equipment manager for ASU football for 3 seasons. So um, I know a lot of the things that he's doing right now, but obviously because of COVID and everything, it's a much different experience. I mean, for crying out loud, the game tomorrow night got canceled because the head coach tested positive. So there's no game tomorrow. So you don't have to go to work for 12 hours tomorrow. I guess that's the bright side.
I guess that is a plus.
You kind of just chill all day. It won't be a 12 to 12 day because the game was starting at 8:30. The game was probably wouldn't have even ended till like 1 a.m., which is crazy.
Yeah, that is true.
Maybe like 12:30, 12 probably like 12:31 if it goes long
Yeah.
enough.
Well, not just that, plus whatever they would have us do afterwards. You know, it's
Yeah, exactly. If the game ends at usually get out like an hour and a half after the game ends. Like the game ends at like 1, you're leaving at like 2:30.
yeah, that's gonna. that would have sucked, but clearly
Yeah.
now it's it got
Yeah.
canceled and I'm big chilling.
Well, I don't know what trainers usually do like after the game's over because like for me, I would sit in the locker room like with big laundry bins and like after the coach gave like his speech, I'd be in charge of like walking around the locker room getting everybody's like nasty, sweaty jerseys
Right.
and washing those. Um, but like so you know like really all we had to do was collect all that stuff, like make sure there's no trash in the locker room, start the laundry, and then we would pretty much be ready to go. It'll only be like an
Right.
hour.
Yeah, no, see, it's pretty short for us. It's kind of in this case, you know, if it would have been the first home game, it was just kind of like empty anything out that had liquid in it, slide everything back into the cage down low, whatever we go down there, and then just kind of separate what we would need to in this day and age of this COVID thing, take up to the facility and sanitize. Um,
Hmm.
Not knowing though if it would have been that same night or if they would just let us kind of go home for the night and then come back at like 8 a.m. the next day.
Yeah. I think usually for us, like especially if it was that late,
Right.
we would just go home and like because we like if we get out of there at like midnight, 1 o'clock, like we're back in there at like 9 a.m. to do laundry and stuff. Or we would usually split it into two groups, so there'd be like a 9 a.m. group and like a 1 p.m. group, or no, maybe I think it was like 9 a.m. and 11 a.m.
Right.
So like if you wanted to come in at 11 a.m. get some more sleep, like you'd have to do different things, but. Yeah, but we would split it up. But like you said, the sanitizing and all that, obviously that's much different.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's a really shitty year to have to
yeah.
go to be able to have this experience. I mean, again, like something I didn't really talk about yet, but I was working for the Cardinals for a month, the
Yep.
Arizona Cardinals, the NFL football team, and that experience was cool. But like because of everything going on, it was just so unoriented and like I said unoriented, it's disoriented. I'm losing my mind already. Uh, it was just so like unnatural. That's probably the word I was looking for, and definitely not what it was supposed to be. It got completely transformed into a new task, like a new type of thing to do. And
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know. I quickly realized that it wasn't something I wanted to do with my life moving forward. Like I loved it in college. It was a lot of fun. I wish I was still doing it, but I think being around like a bunch of other people your age and going through those things, and like you just went on the road trip last week to USC. Like when you get to go on the road trip, and again, I know you guys had a different experience, but like when we would go on road trips, and then like the night before the game, we would all just like hang out in somebody's hotel room, like have a couple beers and like just chill.
Right.
Like those were some cool times, like being with all like, and you make friends because you kind of have to because you're with them all the time. I mean, I guess not in your case because you
Right.
know
Yeah.
anyway, well, I guess we can leave that for another time. but but yeah, so yeah, it's just been weird. I mean, it's been weird for everybody. Everybody literally in the world is dealing with this right now
Yeah, something
on
something
different
that
scales.
we learned about in history, right? If you go back, like there was that whole bubonic plague thing that everyone was freaking out about. If you really take it that far, and it's like,
Oh yeah.
um, everyone back then were probably thinking, oh, hopefully no one in the future or whatever would have to deal with something like this. And of course, it's not to that extreme, um, but just the fact of it's that constant worry of being afraid to just naturally cough. Like you have a dry throat and you end up coughing, and people thinking you've got the Rona. So
Yeah.
it's
I sneezed today when I was at a restaurant. I mean, obviously, like because I'm a normal human being, I did it like into my jacket that I was wearing, like, into my hoodie. So like obviously none of it's gonna get anywhere. And it was like, nothing crazy. Like it wasn't like a dirty sneeze or like there's snot everywhere. It was just normal.
right, right,
But like,
yeah,
and luckily there wasn't many people in the restaurant. But like you said, like it's a natural thing to sneeze, and like yeah, people look at you like you're crazy now.
yeah. Hey, that waiter came by and asked you, "Would you like your food to go?" Even though it hasn't come yet.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, we need you to get
Yeah,
out
here's your
because
check. We're gonna need you to leave.
yeah, you need to get out of here. No, so, like I went on I went to Utah last month, I mean I know we've talked about this, but like so flying during COVID was nuts. Like I mean, it really wasn't that different. It's just like obviously it's weird having the coverings over your face. And I remember the first day I was wearing like one of those neck gaiters,
Right.
and I was in the airport and on the plane long enough to where I was getting a rash on the middle of my nose. So like when I got to my hotel room finally and like took it off, like there's just a red mark right across my face.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the whole mask thing. I mean, let's just put it this way. I mean, this will also be like the day and age where people are going to have probably the worst farmer tans known to man if you work
Oh yeah.
outside. I mean, I look,
Yeah, you have a bad tan,
dude,
don't you?
I look at myself in the mirror constantly, and I've got this line that starts right at the mid of my nose. That's just white, but everything else is like nice and pale. Of course, like I've got a really bad tan line by my socks, but you know that's just kind of normal if you work outside wearing shoes all day. So, yeah, it's funny. It's definitely something funny. You know, whenever you can look at stuff on the brighter side, whenever you know everything right now is so dull, but if you can make a joke every now and then, it kind of gets you through 20 seconds of this kind of hell that we're living in right now.
Yeah, and like I said, I just started like my new part-time job, just kind of like just to get some sort of a paycheck while COVID's going on. But I like our store opens at like 9 a.m. No, it opens at 10. We gotta go in at like 8 a.m. because you know, we gotta wipe down the countertops and wipe down the handles everywhere, and like I have to like mop the entire store, and like it's crazy. Like I mean, most of that stuff is stuff that you do anyways, like at a job like that, or like when you close at night, it's just one of those things you do. You clean off stuff,
Right,
but like um it's a little more extreme, obviously, because you have to wipe down like literally every little thing
right,
just because of how sensitive the current time period is.
right.
But
Yeah, and that's definitely
yeah,
everything's gonna just come with adjusting, and of course, as I've joked with you about at this point, I'm just waiting for that ED vaccine to come out because again, it's the pure comedy of the fact that Pfizer is kind of leading that search, or at least that what is it, that kind of look into getting the vaccine out as soon as possible, as compared to probably
it
another.
cannot come soon enough.
Yeah, but as compared to like another medical company, it's the ones that we're just known for Viagra. So,
That's also true.
so,
That's true.
so the brighter side of that is, I mean, if you need something for ED, bro, Pfizer's got you. If you need something for Rona, it's looking like Pfizer's
Your
got
COVID vaccine might hit two birds with one stone. That would be fantastic.
you. Hey, bro, that,
That'd be awesome,
hey man,
dude.
Roman might be looking for their money because you know they came up
Yeah, I hope Roman's working on a vaccine because they might be in trouble.
with
Oh my
Pfizer
God.
about to take that all over again.
Yeah. And I guess I don't know who would be listening at this point. We'll see. But I guess like the theme that like we're gonna kind of follow is kind of just like whatever comes up in conversation, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's
like whatever's happened in the last week. Like,
right.
I mean, this week's been interesting. Obviously you just said the game got canceled tomorrow. I've been refreshing my computer for the last 48 hours trying to buy a PlayStation 5. I can't, I still don't have one. Obviously, the new Call of Duty came out last night. Fun stuff.
Right, right. I mean, I guess kind of reaching back to probably 2 weeks ago, you know, that new iPhone finally dropped, and that's kind of that, you know, what I spent my money on instead of the new PlayStation.
Is there anything like crazy about the new iPhone? Like, is there any cool like features or
I
anything?
mean, honestly, unless you were like gonna do the Pro and get that like third camera option, there's like this really cool wide lens that comes along with it. And honestly, for me, I like their their idea of going back to that kind of like more boxy look rather than that curved how can you say, like symmetrical kind of thing. Like this one's more like that
Yeah,
iPhone 5
yeah, I know what
vibes.
you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so like
Hmm.
it definitely feels nicer in the hand. But you know it's just all newer stuff, so everything's going to work a bit faster until time comes. But I don't know. I mean, if anyone's kind of looking into a phone, if they were holding on for one for a while, like I was on the, as you know, I was on the X for the longest of time. Um,
That's what I have, I think.
yeah, like that phone lasted me through the 11 and then the 11 Pros and all that other stuff. And then by the time the 12 Pro came out, I was like, you know, it's time for an upgrade. That's 3 years now having my old phone. You know, why not just give myself the newer one? It'll last me through. So we'll see with time. It's only been what, like 2 days since I've had this phone. So still got a
Yeah.
lot to work with, but we'll see, you know. But yeah, definitely, I agree. When it comes down to the topics on this kind of podcast, it's kind of just going to be mostly try and be like positive vibes and talk about what's going on to today's world as much as we can without being too
Opinionated.
yeah, right. Like try and base more on everything, just kind of looking at it openly and just seeing how it is. Um,
I would think you might hear our opinions every now and then, but I don't think it'll ever be anything strong enough to make somebody hate us. You know,
right. or,
those are conversations we'll keep out of the open microphone. You know.
right, right. And not just that. I mean, at times we'll even probably bust out a few jokes. Like half the time, whenever we talk, sometimes it's not
Oh,
even
yeah.
like full seriousness. We might make a joke that just like will have
Yeah.
something to do with today, but we're not gonna like put that as a opinion on the actual fact or put that in cement about our views.
That's kind of why I think we're doing this is because I mean you said it the other day like some of the conversations we have are just so stupid and like the things that we say and like we always like I wish that there was always some I wish we were always on camera because we would have some gold like it's the most random shit like we'll just start saying and we'll be laughing about and so that's why I think it's a good idea to do this because like we literally just talk and if people get enjoyment out of it it'll be cool
Yeah, I mean,
but
it'd be great to have people kind of join in laughter, and maybe I don't know if this will allow people to message in any questions or something, but like good feedback or something, anything like that, that'd be dope. But at the end of the day, I think
yeah
I think the biggest goal for us on here is just to it's kind of an escape for everything, try to escape all the
absolutely
negativity, let's try and have a good time and spread just positive vibes. So that's
in this current new world that we're living in,
right,
I
right.
guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much all we can do, right?
Yeah.
So,
Because I was thinking about it, like, I mean, I kind of want to get off topic of COVID, but I thought about it like a couple weeks ago. I was like, remember, like, before 9/11, like, there was no TSA. Like, TSA was not a thing.
right,
But now you fast forward, even, I mean, TSA was only like a year or something after that. I don't have my facts straight,
right,
just guessing. But, here we are almost 20 years later from 9/11, and obviously TSA is just normal now. Like, you have to go through it. So, like, I feel like the way COVID's working right now, it's kind of going to be similar to where, I don't think we're going to wear masks for the rest of our life, but, like, we're never going to go back to where we were. We're just going to have to create a new normal, if that makes sense.
right,
Like,
right.
there's going to be a new way that we live or a new way we
Or,
go
or
about
even, or
things
even
after
maybe
it's
if
all
it's not
over.
even like a new way, maybe it's like that new way is just people are more like self-hygienic, like just realize like don't
Yeah,
wash your hands more than you need to, or not need to, like more than you should, or how can I say it, like just being clean about stuff, rather than like back in the day where it was like, let's say whoever lives in a giant populated area like New York or like Seattle or LA, right? Like you ride the public transit system and like you get
yeah.
off and you don't like wash your hands afterwards. Like nowadays, I think that's just what's going to kind of push it forward is just being more clean about yourself, kind of feel pride in taking a shower or like washing your hands. Like
Yeah,
even
because I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed through working and stuff, but like that's I think one of the best things that'll come out of this is because of like, more it'll be more people will be more likely to practice good self hygiene.
right,
Because like if you're wearing a mask all day and your breath usually stinks, now guess who has to smell their own breath?
right, right,
So I bet you're gonna take better care of yourself when it's affecting you, and I mean just stuff like that. That's why like, all this stuff to me is just like it's weird because it's like I go to a grocery store and they're telling me to wash my hands and make sure you wash your hands and cover your coughs and sneezes. It's like I'm 23 years old. Like this is something I learned when I was 5. Like how does everybody not know how to do this? It's just like common courtesy.
right, right. But now it's like now it's showing people like be more attentive to that. Like don't just let it slide now because now there's a lot of stuff that comes along with it, and who knows when we do get out of the day and age of COVID, like I don't want to sound like um what was his name, Dr. Fauci, who was like, oh, we're just entering the world of pandemics. Like, let's not think that way. Like, let's just think like,
Yeah,
let's get out of this one and just see what life is like. Let's not try to freak out, the world that's already freaked out right now, or at least tired of what's going on with this whole COVID thing. Like the best
I
thing for me,
agree.
like the best day that kind of felt like free to me was Halloween. Like I went back to my parents' house. Um, was handing out candy to the kids that were coming by, and it just felt good because these kids were kind of coming up. They're all dressed up. It's like it kind of felt like a day where like COVID didn't exist, even though it's constantly there. It was just that thing of like people were happy. These kids are still coming up. They're in the costume. Some of them weren't even wearing masks. Of course, for purposes, we were practicing our social distancing to as much as we can. But it's like I know these kids are already going through a lot as it is at a young age. We understand what's going on being in our 20s. But these kids who
Yeah.
are in their like early teens or only like 8 or 9, they don't really know what's going on, and it's just as tough for them as it is for us. They want to go play with their
Yeah.
friends. They want to be outside. Um,
And especially when you're that age, like it is really important for that stuff to be growing relationships and interact with other people your age. Like that's important for like human development,
right,
like
right,
it's just
because I know for me, like growing up, because I mean, clearly me and you, we've grown up pretty much together since probably what like the sixth grade.
fifth grade, I
Yeah,
think.
like we pretty much had our friendship stable there, and of course we had our distant time, right? Because I ended up going to one high school for 3 years. You were
Yeah,
at
we had like a 3 year break.
right, but like in the end, like even just bumping into one each other at the concert,
Hmm.
that was like a huge thing for me and you. It was like, oh damn, like look, that's Tyler. Like it
Yeah.
was just something that was cool, and luckily that kind
Then we went to that Suns
of
game
right, and it
like a month or two, or a couple months
right,
later.
and it so it just reestablished that friendship. But like you're right, like just at a young age, you need to kind of establish that kind of conversation with people your ages and build that friendship and build the bonds and all that. So it just felt good. Halloween felt good. It felt like a day where it didn't feel like 2020.
Yeah, well, I kind of had that like when I went to Utah last month because I went there for one of my friend's birthday, one of my friend's weddings, which is crazy that he's married. Blows my mind. I can't get a female to look at me right now. This dude's getting
And it makes me
he's tying the knot for the rest of his life. This dude didn't get tying the knot for the rest of his life. But like I think the day there was like obviously up to today's standards, it was kind of irresponsible of everybody. But like you said, it was kind of we were in our own little bubble and our own little world that like COVID and all that didn't exist for the day. And I think for my friend's sake and his wife now, I think it was better that way as well because I'm glad that they have a lot of pictures from that night where there's not masks in sight and like it's like I'm sure they'll always remember that it was during a weird time, but nobody deserves to have their wedding pictures being taken with everybody wearing face masks just because it's a shitty year, you know what I mean?
right.
Like
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we were a little obviously irresponsible. I was there probably about 7, 8 hours that day, and I don't think I had my mask on at all. And I was around a ton of other people, most of which who also did not have masks on. Luckily, as far as I know, nobody got sick, and I think that a part of that is because if you just take care of yourself, I think that that's a big deal in preventing stuff like this, whether it's coronavirus, the flu, a cold. Like I think it's just how you take care of yourself is really how you're gonna go about things. And I went to the bathroom. I was washing my hands. Before we ate, I washed my hands. All that kind of stuff. Obviously, if somebody sneezes next to me, I'm not jumping into the cloud they just sneezed and inhaling. I'm gonna probably step away. Like
Hit him with that
it's just
Febreze
like
real quick.
it's yeah. It seems like common sense, but so like that day again, it felt so good. Like COVID didn't exist.
Right.
Like, everybody was just like dancing, having a good time. Like I got to see, we had my high school group of friends all back together for the first time in like 5 years, which is crazy because I only graduated 4 years ago,
Right. Yeah.
right? I guess going on 5 years. So I guess it was not five, it was probably 4 years, but yeah, so I mean, it was crazy. And that day was a lot of fun. And as far as I know, nobody got sick. Um, as far as I know, I was not sick. Obviously, I didn't go get tested or anything. I probably should have. I thought about it, but I felt okay. And I mean, I stay home all the time anyway. It wasn't like I was putting people at risk or anything. Um, but I waited 2 weeks to really even tell anybody outside of like my mother that that day happened the way it did because I'm sure people would look at me like I was crazy. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. A, because it was one of my friends' weddings, and I got to be a groomsman, so that was a lot of fun. But also like just because it was so nice for the first time in like 9 months to just forget about it for just one day for like 7 hours, be inside this one room, together, and we can just play life like it's normal today, and it was a lot of fun.
Right. Yes. I mean, definite. Definitely just good times, and that's kind of what is needed in this world. So definitely looking forward to doing this whenever we have the opportunity to, and why not just take advantage of it? And who knows, maybe we'll become the David Dobrik of podcasts. Like
Yeah,
you
you
never
never
know,
know,
dude.
dude.
Like probably people will like the content, or um, I might give away, I don't know, an empty can of C4 Energy. That's today's giveaway.
Autographed.
With $2, I'll slip in
Yeah,
$2 inside the can.
yeah. So you can buy yourself another one, and you get you're 25% of the way towards another one.
There you go, dude. It's a hookup.
Say, I don't know how often we want to like try and record one, but I mean, like I always tell you, I'm always looking for an excuse to go to Tempe. So
Yeah, and I mean,
now it's a little different because I'm working every couple of days now, but it's not anything crazy.
right. And for me, I mean, I'm constantly down to do this. I think it's a great thing. I think this is kind of our little side thing that we've been wanting to do. I mean, there were times where I know for sure I was gonna try and launch a vlog after that birthday at when we hit the clubs. I had the content for it, but I looked back and I'm like, I have no clue. I'm gonna chop all this together and how it's really gonna like flow.
Oh
And
yeah, it's a grind.
right, so it's like maybe this would be our best kind of trying to make people laugh and stuff, or
Exposure.
right, yeah. So
There's a good word.
exposure, it's, I'm not good with big words, I barely got through the first grade.
Yeah, yeah. I barely got through college. Yeah, I feel you.
Zoom University, man, they don't teach us big
But
words.
yeah, yeah, it's good. So like again, dude, we're like almost 30 minutes in. I don't know who the hell would still be listening to
Right.
this, but if you are, I love you. And we lived like at the same apartment complex for like 3 months
Right.
at the beginning because you moved in January, like a couple days after New
Right.
Year's, and I've been living there for a couple years. But we lived in the same apartment complex for like a couple months. We were hitting the clubs together on like Fridays and Saturdays, and like when there were a couple albums that came out, like Eminem's album, we listened to it together, like in your room.
Right.
That'll probably be a topic that we cover on podcasts every now and then. Is like new music, sports, video games. It's kind of all the stuff we usually bond over.
Right.
That's why me and you are so compatible. You're literally like one of the only people I have in my life that genuinely everything I like, you like as
Yeah,
well.
pretty much.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely.
Like it's so perfect. Like I literally don't know anybody who is like the exact same person as me. That's why it's amazing. That's why it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, that's kind of what made the friendship, pop. So
Yeah.
it's kind of lit, but definitely. So yeah, I mean we're
Yeah.
28 minutes in, so you're right. Whoever stayed
Yeah.
listening, that was a definite shout out to you for our first kind of recording. But yeah,
We can leave it at that, I
yeah,
think.
pretty
But
much.
we'll obviously start putting more out, and I guess that's it, right? We can just end it
Yeah,
there.
pretty much. I mean, that's about it. I mean, thanks to anyone who listened this far.
Yeah, we'll see who it reaches, and maybe we'll start recording more
Yeah,
as soon as we can.
big facts.
And even though him and I are now done talking on this app, we're probably still going to talk for hours because that's what we do every night. So, but yeah, like he said, thanks for listening if you're still here. And hopefully this takes off and we can have a lot of fun with this. I think even if nobody listens, we can still pretend like
Oh
we're
yeah, I
listening.
mean,
Have a lot
this
of
seems
fun.
like it
So,
would be a whole lot of fun regardless. So
yeah. All right. Well, should we talk an extra minute so we get to 30? I think we
yeah,
should.
I mean we can.
I think we can find 60 seconds to fill
All right,
in.
yeah, for sure. Well
But
then I guess that comes down to recording days. I mean, you're right. It'll just be based on your work schedule. I'm pretty much
same as
yeah. I
you
mean,
and school.
right. So I mean that's pretty much that. But I mean, like we probably fill in a few casts a week, probably like two,
Yeah, we definitely
something like
could,
that.
especially starting off.
Right. Yeah.
The best way to get more exposure is to continue to record and get more content out, I guess, if you
Right.
want to use that word.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, there's
Obviously, like, no, go ahead.
oh like that. There's always news around or like something involving those like kind of topics that you brought up. So we can definitely we always have some fresh stuff.
Yeah, and obviously, I think in this case, it's probably my audio is probably going to sound clear, and it sounds like you're on the telephone.
Right.
So,
Right.
but I think we're going to try and get from here out. We're going to try to get together and do it. And who knows? Maybe we end up getting like real good microphones, and
Right.
we actually start like editing it and stuff. Like this was like a one take, obviously.
Right.
There's not really anything to edit, but if we get to that point, we get to that point. Who knows? Who cares? This is really just for fun, and obviously right now, like you said, it's a little bit of an escape from reality that we can maybe get together for 30 minutes to an hour every week and just bullshit on audio
Right.
recording.
Right. And, and again, it's
So
just
be
to
it.
make a good times, so.
Yep. And again, I don't know what we're gonna call this thing. I guess we'll brainstorm some ideas, but
Facts.
we'll figure it out. So I guess thank you for listening if you're still here. Appreciate you. I don't know how this thing works about follows and all that. I don't know how that works, but we'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
it'll take time, but yeah, cool. I guess that's a wrap for the first recording.
All right, thank you for tuning. I'm just kidding. Just come back with a whole outro. All right,
Well, yeah, well, think about
that's
that,
gonna yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. Peace
but
out.